Still loads of war drama here causing weakness in BTC, but currently dropping into the first of two major zones where I'm looking for long. So let's break it down, guys. Let's see if we can lock in our next BTC trade. Guys, and remember, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, and hit the subscribe. This is a short video for you, just showing you the next Bitcoin trade that I'm interested in. If you like this type of content, obviously let me know in the comments after the video has been posted here. I'm keen for some feedback in terms of the live altcoin trading that we do every day on the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 moment. We can see the UAE actually putting pressure on the US to get those boots on the ground. Now, we know we got something like 40,000-50,000 US troops in the region at the moment, and this would be quite a significant escalation if this does start playing out. So interesting to see that the UAE guys are backing a ground invasion of Iran. Then a little bit of other news came out as well, where basically Trump is saying he's prepared to leave the war now in spite of the strait remaining closed. Okay, that's something we'll chat about with James later, and we'll break that situation down. But it is quite, look, technically that would be a de-escalation. The markets might respond well, and we know certain ships will then be able to flow through that strait, and that should stabilize the oil price. But again, we'll deal with that later in the live trading show later on today. Okay, let's jump into a couple of things here. Number one is obviously the futures after that news, relatively flat at the moment. You can see the Nasdaq, the Dow, gold bottom left here, relatively flat at the moment. Bitcoin actually showing the most weakness here currently, but things are relatively calm. And then in terms of our favorite Kramer has basically said the top of oil is in. Now, again, like, one day this guy is going to be right, and he's going to get it right, and everyone's going to be super happy. But I know we all look at him as a bit of a counter trade here, but there is possibility if this war de-escalates that oil actually drops. So I've got an interesting chart for you here. Before we jump into that Bitcoin trade, I've got an interesting chart here for you on oil at the moment. You can see what's gone on. It's actually broken the $100 level, and it is starting to find support. But there's a slight bit of bull source here for the rest of the market. If oil can just print a lower high here on the right hand side, we might see that right shoulder in play and then a possible drop on oil. So that is the bull source there. If Kramer is right, that's potentially the move we are looking at, and we could see that actually playing out today. So oil bears, you can take a look here, right shoulder 104 into about 105, 106 give or take. We don't really want to go much higher. Now let's take a look at one of the trades I'm watching today is silver. There is a little bit of action here on silver at the moment. You can see we are building a squeezy setup currently, and if we do get a pop, well, we're going to see fireworks. Obviously a silver breakout is going to tie in with a oil drop, so that head and shoulders on oil playing out to the downside, we should see a significant silver pop here in the market. So right now, guys, this is now back on my radar. 74, this is going to be a break zone. Put your alarms on in this region for later today. If you break and hold 74 for silver, I believe we're going to get a run into 84, and that's going to be our 50-day moving average target to the upsides. If we do get some kind of move, you'll probably find I am in that silver breakout play. So waiting patiently for that one. Let's get into the Bitcoin situation. I've got two long zones of interest. Now, yesterday I did cover the first one as a potential wick fill, and that is still untapped. So I'm looking for a possible long there, and then the next one is slightly lower. So let's just jump into our Bitcoin chart. Let's just see exactly what is potting here. So you can see we do have bearish tendencies at the moment with Bitcoin on the 2 hour. You can see our bearish divergence has just started printing now on the oscillator. Look at that. So not a good look here for the bulls, but in terms of the first region of interest, in terms of what is making sense to me at the moment, I covered this yesterday. There's a wick that was left behind. It's highly unusual that a wick doesn't get filled, and obviously sometimes they can take out the whole wick, sometimes they take out a portion of the wick. But what I really did like was the tie-in that we had on this guy with the 786 and the horizontal. So in terms of a possible bounce that we're going to get today, and this would most likely come with a drop in the oil price, it most likely comes with some kind of war news or some kind of announcement that there's a moderate, negotiations or some kind of de-escalation brewing. That looks like my first play there on BTC. So looking for about a 4 or 5% move to the upside, and looking for this drop into 65,600 down into about 65k. That's looking pretty reasonable there to me to try and test the long. Now, naturally, we want to tie this in with lower time frame bullish reversals. You can see quite clearly here that 2 hour is bearish. So if you do want to engage, you want to make sure you've got your lower time frame oscillators at least giving you an indication that we are going to get some kind of reversal. So you can dive into, for example, the 1 hour time frame. You can see you can track that one during the day. Another one that's been a bit of a banger for us lately is the 45 minutes as well. That tends to give us a good indication. So you can see there is a little bit more time required. So by the time you're seeing this, you'll probably find we're a couple of hours away from some type of bounce or some type of entry there on BTC. Now, that is the first long zone of interest. Now, we need a plan B. Now, if this thing fails, for example, let's say we drop into the zone, we don't get the reversal on our 1 hour and they want lower, they want blood and they drop it lower. The next big zone for me is that 63 to 62k region on BTC. I just want to highlight this one for you quickly, and I do have preset orders that I have spoken about on the live show, and I am looking for a bounce 63.3 into about 62.5 for me for Bitcoin. So that is going to be trade number 2 or trade option number 2 there for me, looking for one of these to play out during the course of the day. Again, we don't necessarily need to call how high this thing is going to go. Let's just lock in an entry first. Let's get this thing moving. If it does turn green, we can de-risk relatively quickly by getting our stops at entry as well. Okay, so those are the 2 zones I'm going to be looking at today. I'm going to see you later on for the live trading session as well on the regular time slot on the Chart Hackers channel. Catch you guys later.